Smackdown 10/24/25. Your amplified review begins right now. I, of course, your host, B, motherfucking C, the amplified man. I want you to picture a world where Aleister Black would be facing Dragunov for a championship. And it's the appetizer, the pre-show to the actual main event, which is Jim Uso versus Drew McIntyre. That actually happened on tonight's SmackDown. Aleister Black versus Dragunov for the United States title. Stuffed in the middle of the show so that Jim Uso and Drew McIntyre could take the main event spot. They wanted you, at a time where SmackDown is struggling at an alarming rate in the numbers, between a 1.0 and 1.1 semod. Down over 40% from the debut on the USA Network. And they wanted you to wait 2 hours or $1.45 to watch Jim Uso in the main event. Hunter Hearst Helmsley remaining defiant, stubborn, and stupid after all the backlash he just received from Monday night, where Mid-Jim's brother Jay Uso, Jay Yeaterman, was main eventing that show. And when Raw went off the air, it was Jay Yeaterman face to face with Punk. And a lot of backlash came from that, justified. Because fans finally stepped up and spoke out. Whoa, this isn't a main event for us. CM Punk versus Jay Uso? So fans, more and more, and over the last several days, man, WWE, more specifically Hunter Hearst Helmsley, felt the heat from his own fans. His own, quote, universe. Who said, dude, this is some Uso fatigue. We're getting a little carried away here, man. It's Jay Uso. I mean, in a matter of months, he's somehow become Edge, Cena, Roman Reigns, Hulk Hogan. You got this guy almost invisible in some of these matches. He might as well be up there with The Undertaker. It's Jay Uso, dude. Relax. How is he all of a sudden winning Royal Rumbles and Battle Royals and championships at WrestleMania? He's kicking out of everybody's finisher 12 times a match. He's knocking people out with spears, even though it doesn't look like he hits the gym one day out of the month. Finally, fans stepped up and said, dude, hold on. That's not how we wanted to end Monday Night Raw. All that talent in that Battle Royal, all the ways you could have went with Punk. If you're going to go face versus face, you had LA Knight. You planted seeds for him in CM Punk. You had Braun Breaker sitting in your lap. That's a heel, by the way. And it makes sense because Seth is vacating the title. He's the one who took out Seth. Breaker Punk. That's a big Saturday night match. No, Helmsley remained defiant, stubborn, and stupid. He doesn't want to listen to better judgment. He doesn't want to admit he's wrong. He thinks he is better than you, smarter than you, richer than you, and everything else more than you. And if you don't like what he's doing or saying or how he is running this company, you're not a real fan, you can screw off. You can fuck off, was his exact quote. So after all that backlash, he remains smug, defiant, stubborn, and stupid, and he puts Jim Uso in the main event of SmackDown. Yeah, you weren't having fun with Jay Uso ending Monday Night Raw? You thought you had Uso fatigue? I'm going to give you Jim Uso to end the blue brand. He doesn't care if this is hurting Netflix or hurting the USA Network. They already got their money. They got paid. If I said it once, I've said it a million times. Helmsley's out of this in 2 years anyway. And I think TKO, Endeavor, Silver Lake Whichever you want to call it, I think they're out within 2 to 3 years as well, and Saudi is going to own WWE. All these moves, I see what's going on. Helmsley's not in this for the long run. He's going to play the role of Vince McMahon for as long as he can until he's completely exposed for the doofus son-in-law he is. But no, I speak for so many fans when I say this is not fun for us. This is not what we want to wait around a couple of hours for. Jey Uso winning a Battle Royal, Super Us. And on a Friday night, we don't want to sit around for 2 hours to watch Mid-Jim take on Drew McIntyre in the main event. That's right, that's his nickname in WWE, Mid-Jim. Why? Because he's a mid-carder, and he should be in the mid-card. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's been many epic talents that made a great living, made a great career in the mid-card. Made boatloads of cash, a name for themselves, and then some. But you have to know your placement. If Helmsley wants to split up the Usos and give them singles runs, cool. That's his decision. He is, as dreadful as it is to say, he's the guy in charge of all of this. He kissed the right ass to get to the top in the position he's in. He slept with the right people to get to the top into the position he's in. And sadly, everything that CM Punk said many years ago in that Vegas pipe bomb promo was true. And unfortunately, it's the doofus son-in-law running all of this and ruining all of this. But if that's the decision he wants to make, split up the Usos and give them singles runs, just make sure that they're in the mid-card. Because you don't want to take everybody else down with you. You don't want to have your entire audience have to actually watch Jimmy and Jay in main events. And we're supposed to put on a facade like we care. Like this is exciting. But no, that's what he did. And I can't tell you how many shows I have seen with Jey Uso ending them, and now Jimmy Uso more and more. And when I do these reviews, the mic goes live. I'm supposed to sugarcoat the review and act like this was fun? Am I honestly supposed to tell my audience how great this was? And whoa, what a main event. They made it a no DQ match. It was fun. No DQ match. Bells and whistles to try to make fans care. You know what it consisted of? You want the amplified truth in this cold open teaser? There was a Slim Jim table to which Corey Graves screamed, "Mid-Jim gets the Slim Jim." That actually happened. That's a quote from Corey Graves. And Michael Cole goes, "Ooh, that was a good one, Corey." That was near the finish to this match. And even commentary can't keep a straight face. Big Slim Jim logos on the table. And Corey Graves yells, "Mid-Jim, grab the Slim Jims!" Good one, Corey. Yep. Mid-Jim Uso and Drew McIntyre in a no DQ match. And you saw some steel chairs and a Slim Jim table. That was the no DQ. And I'm supposed to tell you, man, this show was hyped. This show was just, it had that feel. And it all led to this main event between Drew and Jimmy Uso. And at the end of it, Cody came out and he got Claymored. And we went off the air with the executive producer credits, Lee Fitting, Paul Levesque McMahon, artificial intelligence. It's wild. What, BC? You mean Cody and Drew McIntyre fought again? Yeah, that's right. You act like you've seen it so many times. Calm down, Sparky. You've only seen them fight 114 times over the last 6 months. It's not that much. I say it all the time like a broken record. I know so many of you guys do not watch these actual shows. You just listen to BC's review, and you say, thank you, BC, for saving me the 2 or 3 hours. And I always tell you, you're welcome, because it is a chore. So I appreciate that thank you. Because it's shows like these that are chores. Let's go over it. Let's talk about it. What do you say? That was a good, 10, 11 minutes of the cold open. Probably be longer than the actual review. Cody Rhodes started this show. He's not in all black, right? He's got some gray, I think a red tie. So Cody Rhodes face turn confirmed. For those that don't know what we're talking about, what was it, last week, was it? Cody came out in all black. And the WWE, quote, universe, a lot of fans thought that was a Cody Rhodes heel turn, confirmed. Or at least the seeds were planted. And BC was like, what are you guys talking about? He just chose to wear black. And then he hit Drew McIntyre with the title belt, and everyone's like, see, this is the more heelish side. I was like, no, that was just Helmsley trying to get an out. He's not creative. And they had to take out Fatu. And he never had an alternative plan. So he was just like, Cody, at the end of the show, just go out there and fight. Just go out there and fight Drew McIntyre. But there was 10 minutes left, so you have to do more than just a brawl. So they're like, all right, we'll put a ref out there. Cody, you can stay in your suit and your loafers and just call it a match. They didn't have an out, so Cody just hit Drew with a championship. That's the truth. That's what happened, guys. And again, Cody just decided to wear black. For Cody, it was Black Friday. And fans thought this was a heel turn. So no, how quickly? All week, Cody Rhodes has been laughing at all that, by the way. Basically telling fans, it's not happening, guys. Relax. There's no reason for me to turn heel. I don't even think I could portray it anymore, nor do I want to. He told you I don't even want to be a heel. And then tonight's show, he comes out in gray. So there you go. There goes your heel turn, all right? He's back to being a face because he wasn't wearing black. Sound good? Can we put to rest Cody turning heel? It's a stupid conversation. Even I see no point in turning Cody heel. If you think he is stale, if you don't like his booking, if you don't see anything in Cody, that's cool. That's your prerogative. But him turning heel cannot be the solution. You cannot just turn everybody face or heel just because Helmsley is too stupid to book them properly. Because that's all you're seeing on these shows is face and heel turns at an alarming rate. Because that's all Helmsley has in his pocket. You saw another one tonight. You saw a couple. You got several. Mello is all of a sudden a face out of nowhere. Shinsuke's a face out of nowhere. Jade Cargill turns heel. No. We have to start. Stop allowing it to happen and start forcing Helmsley to get creative. But these wrestlers can't just turn face and heel nonstop. I'm starting to lose track of who is who and who's doing what. I shouldn't be confused watching pro wrestling. I never know who has these 1,000 titles anymore. I always have to keep track. Who's got this championship? Wait, what is that championship? And when did that championship change hands? I don't even know who's champions anymore. I don't know who's a face and who's a heel. And that's what Helmsley wants. More confusion, less questions. Because eventually we'll just learn to accept it all. That's what he wants. When Jey Uso's holding up that baby on Monday Night Raw, that's who he's booking for. Babies. Because they accept everything and they ask nothing. Anyway, back to the start of this show. Cody's in gray, not in black, so he's a face, and his promo is as a face. Drew McIntyre quickly appears on the commentary table, and we have a verbal back and forth. Jim Uso then attacks McIntyre, and segment 1 is over. We go to commercial. Yep. Now, in my notes, I literally just had a giant WTF. What the honestly. It's all I could put in my notes, like I'm trying to comprehend. SmackDown's ratings are in the toilet. They were able to crawl back to a 1.1 this past week from a 1.05. They got 75,000 viewers back last week. They're in the toilet. And this is how they started their show. Cody and Drew saying words to each other for the 119th time in the last 4 or 5 months. And Jim Uso set up a main event match with Drew McIntyre. And we go to commercial after 16 minutes. And you're shocked that fans turn to another channel, turn maybe to the World Series? After finding out, after watching this crap show of a segment 1, and then going, okay, I gotta wait an hour and a half now to watch that crap show of a main event. And you're gonna blame them for turning off SmackDown, switching the channel, picking up a bad habit, throwing themselves into traffic, anything but watching this show, and I wouldn't even blame them. That is not a fun, a creative, or intriguing first segment. It is the opposite of each. You know, this is what happens when you've done Cody and Max so many times for so long. You end up with nowhere to go. We've seen them fight. We've seen them brawl. Matches, wins, losses, a billion promos. Only the live crowd will mark out for this lazy, boring redundancy because it's right in front of them. But for everyone else watching at home, this is the opposite of fun, opposite of interesting, opposite of creative. Throw in Jim Uso and somehow it gets even worse. You end Raw with Jay, you start SmackDown with Jim, you end SmackDown with Jim, and the crowd goes mild. First matchup of the night, Mateo and Tama Tonga of the MFTs versus Rey Fenix and Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, this is always funny, right? Shinsuke was a heel when he left television months ago, and he was gone for months. He'd be seen once in a while, like creepily behind like promos, like he'd be 20 feet in the back, like just like listening to everybody's promo. This is what Helmsley does. When he has nothing for you, he just puts you in the most weirdest of predicaments where you look like an absolute idiot. He had Nikki Cross listening in on Chelsea Green tonight. Chelsea Green was in a backstage, I don't even know what it was, with Julia, Kiana James. It was bad. And there's Nikki Cross, like, just walking back and forth. And I'm like, is she waiting for catering to bring out the new batch of triple-layered mousse cake? She waiting for a fresh batch of coffee? They have Nikki Cross next to a catering table. Probably having a fit. Who took all the donuts? So Nakamura, for months, he's just seen backstage once in a while, like listening to people's prayer. He had nothing, but he was a heel. Remember, he was a heel. And then he shows up, I think it was a couple weeks ago, for this Sami Zayn Open Challenge. And he's just a face. He has his music back. He's high-fiving fans. Some mutual respect during and after the match. I'm like, whoa, when did that? No explanation. Helmsley's just like, come back as a face. Nobody will ask any questions. If they do, I'll tell them they're not a real fan and they can fuck off. He comes back a couple weeks ago, miraculously, as a face against another face, Sami Zayn. And it's clear Schnozman has no plan for him whatsoever. He's thrown into a random tag team with Raymond Phoenix. And how about Phoenix, by the way? How many partners has Helmsley given this dude in the last 3 months, right? Let's count them. Andrade, LA Knight, right? This was on the whole Paris tour. He was tagging with LA Knight. So Andrade, LA Knight, Javon Evans a couple weeks ago. And now they threw Shinsuke Nakamura with him. Did he do Sami Zayn too? I don't think they were a tag team. I think they just did the match of mutual respect. Because Rey Fenix also did a match with Sami Zayn. I don't think they were a tag team. But you can make it 5 if it was Sami. But I believe at least 4. 4 in the last 3 months. Andrade, LA Knight, Javon Evans, and now Shinsuke Nakamura. Why would Rey Fenix leave AEW for this type of booking then? Everybody talked about how poorly booked he was. Dude, do you realize that Phoenix and Penta? You want a hot take? I don't care if this is a hot take. It's amplified truth. Penta and Phoenix looked larger than life in AEW. Their entrances were cool. They just looked like they belonged. And I know you want to say, well, BC, big stars in a little pond will feel that way. Now they're in a much bigger pond. No, God, have you seen Rey Fenix? He just looks so average would be too glorious. To call Rey Fenix average right now would be too good. That's a compliment. I just don't like how they're presented at all. Their matches never seem to, and they try something, they try to put them in matches that the fans will call bangers. That the fans will easily say, this is awesome. They'll chant, this is awesome 12 times in the match. They try to put them in those type of matches, but without a real plan, and without knowing how to truly book these individuals and cater to the character, they're lost. So I constantly see Rey Fenix out there with a different partner every single week and no direction. That's just amplified truth. I had to ask myself when I'm watching this, then why even leave AEW? Are they really treating you worse than what Helmsley is doing for you? Was it that much money they're offering? Now that How to Train Your Dragon Ball Z Lee has a title with AJ Styles, maybe I'll start to remember. Dragon Ball Z is Raw, Rey Fenix is SmackDown. But I still, man, without commentary screaming their name, I'm looking at them and I'm instantly thinking one is the other. Dragon Ball Z is Phoenix and Phoenix is How to Train Your Dragon. You got to make me care. You have to distinguish so that I can care enough to. And until they do that, I don't care if I say Dragon Ball Z was in a tag team with Shinsuke tonight, because I don't care. Because WWE doesn't care. Four partners in 3 months. You hussy! Rey Fenix. Tama Tonga pins Phoenix. That's the match. Nothing more I can tell you. Tama Tonga pins Phoenix. Yeah, I whatever. A tag team match for fans to go, this is awesome, I guess. I don't think they did, though, thankfully. They were in, I believe, Arizona. I didn't hear a lot of this is awesomes. That was really cool to see. There was a You Deserve It for Dragunov. We'll get to that in a minute, but the main event, a couple hundred kids tried to break out a This Is Awesome chant for Jim Uso and Drew, and luckily everyone else just kind of shot it down. They're like, no, this is not awesome, kids. Sit down. So anyway, you got a match. There you go. So hopefully that fulfilled your wrestling for if you had to wait till a Friday night to watch a good wrestling match, did that give it to you? There you go. Hour 1 then ends with Tiffany Stratton pinning Kiana James via Swanton Prettiest Moonsault combo. Post-match, Julia and Kiana attack. Jade Cargill for the save. Jade then turns to Stratton and clotheslines the time out of Tiffy. And then a post-match beating followed, Jade Cargill annihilating Tiffany Stratton. I guess, quote, turning heel. This is all Helmsley does. I said this earlier. Face or heel turns every single show, at least once a week. If not every show, it's at least once a week. You see heel turns or face turns. Sometimes they're like this, where at least you see why somebody turned or how. And then other times they just show up as a face. Maybe they were gone for a few weeks or months and they're back as a different person. No explanation. Nothing even in a promo. We're just turning them. Mello was backstage earlier. He's like, and I understand Miz attacked him a few weeks ago, so I guess that turned him face, but you're going to need more than that. So what does he do backstage? Mello's like, I've been listening. I've been hearing the fans, and I know you're rooting me on and you're rooting for me. So now, from here on out, I'm doing it for the fans. No, really. He cut a promo where he said that. So Miz didn't just turn him face by attacking him last week or a couple weeks ago, whatever it was. No. I mean, they're turning Mello ultra face out of nowhere. Now, all of a sudden, he's doing everything for the fans. He said that. See what I mean? It's so bad. Nothing comes natural in this company. They force feed everything, or they just do everything with no rhyme or reason. This is what he does. He was lost with Jade Cargill, so he's like, you know what? I got to get back to you and Tiffany, but we already did that match. You know what? Just turn heel. Go out there, clothesline the hell out of her. Boom. Done. Now, you want to say, well, BC, this is the best opportunity for her because she wasn't getting that cheered anyway. People weren't really backing her. She's so green. I think she's better as a heel. No doubt. I hear you. I hear you. I'm talking about the bigger issue here is that this is all we see every show. Face turns and heel turns left and right. Guys, another hot take, so be it, but it's amplified honesty. I am losing track. I can't keep track. I don't know who's face and heel anymore, and especially if he's going to book face versus face matches all the time, heel versus heel matches all the time, and it's not fun when that's happening. Because when everything is just anarchy, you can't have anything of validity. Nothing can truly have meaning. Nothing can have a purpose. Because you're just constantly doing things to do them. Wild and unpredictable can be a good thing, but you have to have rhyme and reason. Otherwise, this pro wrestling thing does not work. There has to be a fundamental foundation to all of this. Otherwise, without a solidified structure, it will collapse. I can't keep track, but now, okay, so Mello is now face. Shinsuke came back. He just turned face. Okay, so Shinsuke face. Mello face now. Jade is now heel. This is all just in a show. And this is what Helmsley does because he puts no care and effort into anybody. So when it fails miserably, he goes, I still don't want to put any care or effort into this, so let's just turn them now. And for the next several months, you just be a bad guy, quote. You be a good guy. And then when that falls on its face into oblivion, we'll turn you back. Hour number 2, a Dragunov Open Challenge for the U.S. title started hour 2. Yeah, think about that, guys. Backstage, Sami Zayn was giving a hoorah speech to Dragunov. A hoorah speech. He's trying to pump him up. Like, I got the Open Challenge given to me from John Cena. And now I'm handing it to you, Dragunov. You can do this, Dragunov. And this is what they do with Sami Zayn. I can't stand it. He is always just in everybody's business. Sami Zayn is never doing anything of substance himself. He's never doing anything of substance. He is always in everybody's business. He was always in Jimmy or Jay's business or Roman Reigns. He was always in Seth Rollins' business or Drew McIntyre's business, Kevin Owens' business. And they thought, hey, if we just bring Sami Zayn out there every week and he does an open challenge and he gives the audience bangers, that's going to be Sami Zayn's shtick. And it fell flat on its face miserably from the jump. I'm not blaming Sami Zayn solely. Trust me, it's decisions like putting Jim Uso in the main event and many other bad decisions from Hunter Hearst Helmsley. But it is ironic that almost from the day they started these damn Sami Zayn Open Challenges, the ratings were tanking faster than I've ever seen them for SmackDown. So a big part of the ratings going backwards is that people just didn't want to see Sami Zayn, long Sami Zayn matches just for the sake of saying it's a banger. They were watching a Sami Zayn US Open Challenge, and we were not thinking, hey man, this is as fun as the John Cena Open Challenges. No, we knew this was a lesser than version. We know this was a downgraded US Open Challenge. We went from John Cena Open Challenges to Sam Zayn. And we're supposed to give you that same attention, same time. Every single Friday night, you're going to see another long Sami Zayn match. What do you mean that doesn't sound fun to most fans? You're going to see Sam Zayn put on another banger, guys. They're going to put another really good wrestler in with him every Friday. You're going to see really good Sam Zayn matches. Guys, good wrestling matches is not what pro wrestling is missing these days. Pro wrestling is hurting right now. Pro wrestling, every single promotion needs a spark and a pulse right now. And if you think it's lacking good wrestlers and good wrestling, if you think those are the problems, you haven't been paying attention. There's no lack of good wrestlers and good wrestling matches. So it failed miserably. So he's backstage and he's giving a hoorah speech to Dragunov. I now pass the open challenge torch to you, Dragunov. And Dragunov's like, thank you, Sammy. Thank you so much, Sammy. This means so much. I couldn't help but think, like, this actually happened. I was so bored from all of this because it was so stupid. I was just picturing Dragunov just being a customer at Home Depot. And he calls over one of the associates that's going to help him with some home improvements. And Dragunov wants to put a new deck in the back of the house. And so he's having Sami Zayn, who is the associate of the month at Home Depot, he's having him help him out with all the details. And Sami Zayn is really pumping up, oh, it's going to be a great deck. You're going to want to use this type of wood, and you're going to furnish it like this. And then we're going to put some rods and poles up here, and we can put the big tent here, and it's going to be amazing. I couldn't help but think, like, Sami Zayn is telling him how good he can make his deck. And he came to the right place, Home Depot, and he came to the right person, Sami Zayn, the associate of the month that's going to help him. I couldn't help. The stories are so bad, the show is so bad, that I had to create my own segment. And now Dragunov walked away full of confidence that he's going to have the best deck in the neighborhood. All right, so let's get to the point here. Dragunov Open Challenge. Every wrestler that wins the title, I guess, is going to have open challenges. But anyway, Aleister Black accepts. Phenomenal entrance with Zelina. I love those mixed units. A lot of them are true husband and wives anyway. But whether it's like Scarlett and Karrion Kross, or even Lana and Rusev back in the day, I love Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins recently. And then Rollins got injured, and they threw Becky Lynch with this weird Maxine Dupree BS. Losing every week to Maxine, and Becky's stock has just gone so far. Becky was doing so well. I loved her work with Nikki Bella. Even the promos. I loved her work with AJ Lee. And then Maxine Dupree, and it's all just ruined. And then Seth gets injured. But I was loving Becky and Seth. Forget the Vision. I was telling you guys since day one, the Vision and Seth, it doesn't mix. Seth and Paul Heyman, none of that even works. They don't even need each other. They're their own mouthpieces. But when Becky joined up with Seth, I was like, yes, this works instantly. Same thing with Zelina and Aleister. When they set up that fireball to Priest a couple of Fridays ago, I was like, boom, I'm sold. I got it. I'm with you. Zelina and Aleister Black, yes. So I've noticed that I'm really into those type of mixed tags. I was hoping that AEW, instead of announcing trios titles, I was hoping they were going to announce like mixed tag titles. Female, male. I think that could be a cool division. Now, yeah, you guys know I don't like schmaz matches anyway. I can't stand 6-man tags, 8-man tags. I can't stand it. Can't stand it. Survivor Series was always my least favorite of the big four: Rumble, Mania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series. Back in the day, for you newer fans, that's all we had. But I loved it because you had 3 months to build all the matches, so each event felt special. But I knew at Survivor Series there was going to be a bunch of like schmaz matches, so it was always my least favorite. But nowadays, 6-man tags, 8-man tags, they're just all over the place. It's too much. So when AEW announced 6-man tag titles, trios championships, I was like, oh man. That's the part of the show where I'll throw myself in traffic, I think. So I was hoping they were going to, but no, AEW announced trios. And then there was talk of like bringing in women's tag titles to AEW. And I was like, no. You don't need that right now. You don't need women's tag titles right now. You got a couple of women's championships. Rock with that. Do something truly unique. But no, they announced women's tag titles. It is what it is, man. But maybe with this new thing we're starting to see with these mixed units, maybe we can do something special in one of these companies going forward. Anyway. But back in the day, we would have utilized what was known back then as a storyline for this type of match. And we would create what was known as a feud. And it would all culminate at a pay-per-view in what was known as a money match. But under Levesque McMahon's guidance, we just give it away with no story, no build. We just have Corey Graves tell the audience they're about to get a banger. Because that's what SmackDown is missing, evidently. That's why the ratings were so low. We're not getting enough bangers. I could have sworn Sami Zayn was just doing these open challenges so the fans can scream this is awesome and get their banger and give it 5 stars. I could have sworn there was no shortage of bangers and the ratings were tanking. But apparently that's what they were missing. Pro wrestling is missing more good wrestling somehow. All right. Drago pins Black. Priest and Black trade off post-match. That's in my notes. That's all you had. I guess Priest can't. I mean, Zelina kind of got kicked out at the end of this match. She didn't do that much to get kicked out, but it was bells and whistles. So she gets kicked out, and then Priest comes out, and I guess that distracted Black, and then Black got taken out by Jade. I guess, but whatever, man. And then Priest and Aleister. So there you go. I can't comprehend, because the next match was the main event, Mac versus Mid-Jim. And I just can't comprehend that Aleister Black and Dragunov just had a match. And there was no story, no build, no nothing. There was a title on the line. So you say, well, BC, they'll run it back in the future and most likely there'll be a more proper story. Maybe. But we already saw the match now. That's how special this was. We're in an era where we see every match all the time, right? There's so much redundancy and repetitive and rematches. It's so much where you just know that even though there's 1,000 talents, it seems, in these companies, it just feels like everybody has wrestled each other so many times. Dude, you had Dragunov and Aleister Black, and you just gave it away. They could face each other 5, 10, 20 more times with a really good storyline. We've already seen the first time. You get one chance at a first impression. We just saw it. And that's how they decided to end it, by the way. Main event, Mac versus Mid-Jim. Now, I said this in the last Amped Up show that went live on the channel. If you're wondering why WWE numbers are hitting rock bottom status, here is your answer. Jey Uso is ending Raw, and Jim Uso is ending SmackDown. I thankfully grew up watching Hogan and Warrior in the main events. Ric Flair and Sting, Austin and Rock, Michaels and Taker, Angle and Jericho, Orton and even Cena, Lesnar and even Batista. And now it's Jim and Jey Uso in my main events. Out of the tag team division in both singles main eventers somehow. And we're supposed to fake excitement for this tragic calamity of poor decision making and ignorant booking. No! Not on this channel. BC and my entire amplified unit is not partaking in this clown show facade and pathetic charade. Just because the man of three noses handpicked these two to the main event doesn't mean they actually are main event. And they made this a no DQ match, I guess, to try and make people care. A Slim Jim table in a steel chair is as extreme as this match got. Mac pins mid-Jim via Claymore. Post-match, Cody! Cody is out, fends off McIntyre to help his buddy. His good buddy, mid-Jim! And when he turns around, McIntyre is back in the ring and he claymores Cody Rhodes. And the show ends with Drew McIntyre taking out Cody Rhodes for the 46th time in 3 months. And the credits pop up. Lee Fitting, executive producers Lee Fitting, Paul Levesque McMahon, and Artificial Intelligence. For a grand total of no intelligence. That was your show. So yeah, I don't know what I'm... this is another show where there's no direction. I don't know what they're doing. They clearly don't know what they're doing. Now, all of a sudden, Dragunov is doing open challenges. Tag, you're it! And we're giving away Black and Dragunov so that we can say we saw a banger. Mid-Jim is in our main event. Jade Cargill is turning heel. She's the next one. They're spinning a wheel every morning in Stamford, Connecticut. They spin it. Who's going to turn heel this next show? Who's turning face on Raw? Jade Cargill just turns, I don't know. Mateo and Tamatonga defeated Rey Fenix and his partner of the week, Shinsuke Nakamura, who all of a sudden is a face again out of nowhere, out of thin air. Cody Rhodes starts the I can't. Cody Rhodes starts the show and he has words with Drew. As if we haven't seen that 95 times over the last 3 months. And that's your show. Anybody tries to sell you on a bag of goods that this was such a good show, guys, I just ran down it for you. I ran down it in great length. I simplified it for you. I'm not gonna... There's no way that I can't possibly make this sound good for clicks and views or to try to give you guys some positivity on this. I mean, this is a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate company who brags about record revenue and brags about all these accomplishments and how they're the best. They want you to think they're so smart, and this is the garbage that we get on the constant. And the ratings are where they are, and the metrics and the statistics, and if you wonder why, these are the reasons why. Shows like this. And don't forget, your main eventers, Raw, SmackDown, and going forward, Saturday night's main event is Jey Uso and Jim Uso. The Uso twins are your biggest draws in Hunter Hearst Helmsley's world. Nobody else's. The numbers show differently. But that's our main event. Your new Hogan and Warrior. Your new Rock and Austin. Your new Taker Michaels. Your new Cena, Randy Orton, Lesnar, Batista, Flair, Sting. Is Jimmy and Jay. Until next time. And there will be that next time. PC in the unit, we're saying check you, Sal.